My name is Aaron Rhodes, and you are listening to the Shuttlecock Podcast. We're sponsored by the Vinyl Underground at 7th Heaven, offering new and used vinyl at 76 and Troost in Kansas City, Missouri. This week on the show, we have Dan Ohm. How you doing?
I'm feeling good. You just mentioned 7th Heaven.
Yeah.
I just got 2 jobs. I got my first paycheck. I'm trying to go there pretty soon. They got a really nice single stash out there that I need to get my way through.
Nice. Well, you heard it here, folks. dig through those singles before Dan gets them. We don't want Dan to have the good records.
Yes, you do.
No,
so
you do,
dance.
because he's playing at the party. And yeah, he'll spin some records at the show, get your groove on.
Exactly.
I mean, you can only play The DJ Saved My Life so many times.
Right, and I love that song so much, but it's got to take a back seat for a while because everyone's probably tired of it.
Yeah. No, but one song you did put me on to through your DJ sets. Oh, man, I forget what the actual song is
sing
titled.
It to me?
Well, no, yeah, I know. It's the Mace and Puff Daddy.
Oh yeah, I used to skate in circles to that song as
what's
elementary
the title
school
of it?
song. To be honest, I don't even remember either.
No, yeah, it's the Hollywood Swingin' remake they did.
I don't know.
No, yeah.
I just remember in elementary school we would do all these skate parties. We'd go to Skateland or whatever the fuck it's called, and they'd play that song all the time. I would skate in circles, and I just saw that picture disc out and about and was like, oh shit, this is that song. Put it on and was like, taking this home today.
Oh, I didn't even realize it was a picture disc.
I guess it's just the big fat image of his face on the cover of it. It's not, yeah.
No, I need to, next time you play that, I'll run up and go see what that looks like.
Yeah.
So that's a hit.
Classic party track from back in the day. Even though it's not really that far back in the day, but for us it is.
Yeah, I was probably a small child whenever that was released.
Right.
Maybe younger, yeah. But yeah, you are a fellow Olathe. Is that the
that works
term?
for me,
Olathe?
yeah. I'm actually getting ready to go there this weekend, like I was telling you, for this ceramic sale thing I'm doing. I got a friend that lives out there that comes down to KC all the time to play synthesizer weird stuff with me and just hang out and goof off. We've known each other since we were in high school, so I'm gonna try to stay out there with him and what do you do in Olathe? Because this sale's 2 days in a row, so I'm gonna just try to crash with him out there, so I don't have to drive all the way back to KC. So I might goof off in Olathe tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, do you think he has some crazy stuff up his sleeve, or you
crazy
think
stuff? No, we'll probably just kind of hang out, drink some beer. I'm gonna try to go out to a bar with him and be like, where do you is there a bar you drink at out here? Let's go out. But I never really hang out with him at his house much, and he's got a basement with all of his music stuff set up out there, so we might jam and dick around out there a little bit. But I'm gonna be spending the weekend in Olathe. Yeah,
nice. A real destination getaway.
Sure. I mean, it's definitely a getaway. I'm getting away.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I'll do out there. But it'll be cool to just hang out with him at his place because he's been coming. I don't know that I've ever really hung out at his place more than a couple hours or something.
No, yeah, being suburban and living in the city, you kind of always just expect all your friends to come to you, and you're like, oh yeah, I probably should go see all the folks in Johnson County.
Yeah,
at least every once in a while.
I visit my parents out there, and that's sometimes when I'll stop by his house if he's out there when I'm out there, kind of. But yeah, I just it gives me anxiety to be out there, sort of. I get out there and I start looking around and everything's really far away from each other, and it's just all
It's kind of a spatial thing, kind of a object.
Yeah, and it's just
permanence.
Strip malls and churches and schools, and I just don't know what to do out there. So usually I just kind of beeline to mom and dad's house, have dinner, hang out, and then just get the heck out of there.
That's a good strategy.
It's my strategy. Yeah.
No, yeah, but that was your stomping grounds, the Southtown. And maybe was Gary Gonzalez the first band you played in?
Basically, I guess so. Yeah, a bunch of friends that I was going to school with. It was kind of the only group of weirdos that I knew that wanted to try to make music at all, that had the gear and stuff to do it.
That was kind of like a thrashy punk thing?
Kind of, looking back on it, I think it's a lot more screamo-ish than I would think now. And some of those guys were into a lot of that metalcore sort of stuff that was going on during the MySpace days. So we definitely had some, chugga-chuggas in there and stuff, and trying to phase that out of the group. That some of those guys were like, "No, man, you can't take the breakdowns out." But we also had all these like dance parts and stuff in it. I had a lot of fun doing that. We used to like play a show every week out there, even though that sounds crazy now to be like, how do you get people to go see your band every week? But when you live in Olathe as a teenager into weird stuff, like there's not a whole lot of shit to do out there.
Oh yeah, because I was gonna ask, like, was there like a group of like bands that you would kind of end up playing with, or was there like
kind of, yeah,
like, and what kind of venues would you end up at?
Oh man, to be honest, we played a lot of churches.
Yeah,
and that would kind of get me and my band in trouble a lot because we tried to like behave and like respect the spot, but like as we started getting into late teens and stuff, like those dudes were like doing beer bongs like behind the van and stuff, and I'd be like, guys, like, I don't really care, but like if we piss off so and so, they're not gonna let us have shows here.
And this is like a living like Hard Times article.
Probably, yeah, probably already been done. I don't know.
Because were you playing at like Yahweh too, or was it like
that was one of the spaces?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I drive past that, and I just I kind of feel, it makes me feel weird just to like think back on those times and how like awkward all that was. But I used to book like lots of touring bands and like lots of like grindy screamo mixture weird bands at that place, and they never really cared about having the weirdo kids out there, and like some of those kids were like drawing upside down crosses and writing 666 on their forehead at this like church thing, and they called him Old Man Yahweh, and he would be there kind of like, well, kids, he'd kind of like try to talk to them about the whole Jesus thing, but none of them would be like, it wasn't really that forceful. He just kind of like try to talk to the kids and be like, why do you have 666 on your forehead? It was silly times. But yeah, they would let me do pretty much whatever I wanted there. We did a lot of house shows for a while, but when you're like inviting 100 kids to somebody's mom's house in Leawood, like after they do that once, they're not going to do it again.
Yeah.
But we used to do house shows out there and have a lot of fun. And there was a couple moms and dads that were like really into it. They're like, I'm really glad that all these kids, they'll come here and do this, and we can provide this safe place for them to get together and do this thing. And like, I think some of the kids would be like kind of drinking or smoking weed, but not really like all over like some of the house shows we're used to now that we're adults or whatever. But they were just like, it's nice to just be able to have this safe space. And I just remember one of them, it's pretty funny. They were like, the one neighbor's upset, but they don't have a college degree. They're not even educated over there. I thought that was like the funniest thing for them to just be like, they're uneducated. They don't get that we can have this good time here or something. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, they don't understand MySpace core and
who did.
Even
looking back on those days, it like blows my mind how that used to work. But I also used to like dig through MySpace profiles for bands all the time and be like, I like this band. They got their top friends. And it's usually full of bands, so you can just like click, and it's like I just got into so many weird bands through digging around on MySpace.
No, yeah, it was like, I wasn't present for the golden days of MySpace, but like it does seem cool that like music was made like kind of an integral part of it, like that it was
big time. I mean, I feel like Bandcamp does something like that because you can like share it and stuff, but I feel like the social side of that is different. Like, but everything's on the YouTube and Bandcamp. Everyone's streaming stuff still, but
yeah,
I just think the MySpace way was like a funny way to like share and socialize on there as a kid.
No, yeah, like from what I gather, like you would kind of like find a cool band and like instantly be like chatting with them and like getting to know them. But like nowadays, like that kind of usually probably just happens if you're booking them or something.
Yeah, or like going to the shows and stuff. But I also think like with that website, MySpace in general, it like really changed like DIY booking and touring in general. Because like once you're able to start posting your tracks on there and like surf around the internet and get people to like check out your page and do stuff, you're able to just be like, here's my MySpace, will you book my band?
Yeah.
Without ever having known people, versus like back in the day you'd have to like get somebody's phone number or like really know somebody in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
That would be interested in me, like, oh, that's my friend and they have this band, I'm going to book them.
Yeah.
Versus, once that website came out, people could just be like, here's my link. You're into, like, I'm in a grindcore band. You book grindcore bands. I'm from Kansas City. Will you book my grindcore band? And they'd just be like, oh, sure, this sounds cool. I'll do it. And it just kind of started allowing, like, anybody that could record their band and, like, get it in a car to, like, go on tour. I think that changed the whole game for a while. And, I mean, that's still going with, like, the internet is the way it is, and just being able to, like, make a Bandcamp link, send it to somebody, go on tour.
No, yeah, like the way, but like, yeah, MySpace probably was like the big like first step for a lot of people, like gaining access to like the ability to like be a part of like a music scene, and even
Totally.
if they like didn't know about it. So
I think it also like created a bunch of really goofy, like weird scene, like subgenre scene sort of stuff within music communities. Because like one group would get like hyped on MySpace, and then someone else would be like, oh, I can do that too because I've got a computer and a drum machine or something, Yeah. And there'd just be all these like subgenres of all this weird stuff, and then everyone's going on tour and spreading it around.
No, yeah, like, and something like, it's not even like necessarily a bad thing, but like it's just kind of what it is. But like that, yeah, it also kind of is like the beginning of like the very like nicheified like
big time
music sounds, like like how it's like kind of impossible to get some people to go to some types of shows just because like not everything sounds a certain way. I mean,
I don't
know.
People can be really picky about what they're into bothering to shows to go to.
Yeah, you can just dive down one rabbit hole for so long and miss a lot of stuff.
There was one really weird phase that I feel like was happening in MySpace music where they were like grind bands that sounded like they were underwater. I wish I could remember the name of some of these groups, but I remember, and I had kind of booked one, but I think they just canceled their tour and never went on tour. I also feel like there was a group of, no, it's not like a group, but like there were different bands that would exist on this internet platform, but when it came time to like real life, like get in a van and go on tour, they were like, oh, we can't do this because we just make these weird recordings in a bedroom that we put on the internet that's like of this weird happening sound right now, but we can't actually produce that live. So I feel like they would like book tours but then never go on them, like fake reasons why they didn't go on. So it's like almost like fake bands sort of. But I think that's just like the internet.
That's a weird little byproduct of these platforms.
But they're getting, like the hype and like people talking about their groups, so they're like, we're in this cool band that exists on the internet, but they can't like play live in real life or whatever.
Yeah, so all you fake internet punks.
Look out, world.
Talking to you, egg punks, chain punks. It's 2018 now. Everything's cool.
Everything's cool. Everything's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's cool that people just, like, make weird music and post it online and people get excited about it.
Yeah.
It's a pretty odd thing, the World Wide Web.
Sure is.
You can imagine.
God bless it.
Sure.
But yeah, like, I just remember, though, the first time I saw you play music, it is post...
when was that?
I think it was Meat Mist.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know, I really, like, it was around the time that Smut, the LP, came out.
Yeah.
And I was a big fan of that record, and I saw that
playing
band.
that band in a big way. We all had different priorities back then. So we were like, I mean, James was 17 when we started that band, and like me and Steven were like 22, 23. So we didn't have shit else going on but like wanting to like drink beer, smoke some weed, and like make some weird music in the basement, And then as time went on, we were like, oh, we all really like have lives now, and some of us got jobs. We can't go on tour, and but I just felt pretty challenged and like we like had somewhere we were going with like the sound and trying to like do some psychedelic, freaky, heavy, weird shit,
No, yeah, it's funny. Like, shout out to James. I didn't like just because like James had always been there when I entered the scene initially. Like, I thought he was like as old as everyone else, and I'm like, oh wait, you're actually just like 2 or 3 years older than me, like barely.
Right? Yeah. No, and yeah. I mean, I forget that all the time, but like, I mean, the first tour we went on, I was buying him cigarettes and beer, like on different occasions on tour, because he'd be like, hey, can you go into the store and get me cigarettes? And I'd just be like, when are you going to get old enough to just buy your own damn cigarettes, you know? But, you know, now none of that's an issue. But it was kind of cool to, like, every once in a while remember that. Just be like, actually, like, I'm taking a minor across state lines on this tour right now. Is this chill? But, you know, I think I met James when he was, like, 15. You know, he just was, like, hanging around Midtown. And when I would talk to him, he would talk about a bunch of, you know, he was, like, getting into a lot of the same things that I was getting into as somebody who was, I guess, I'm not really sure how much older than James I am. Like 4 or 5 years older than him. And I was just like, this is cool. You are a young person. You're obviously, like, much more mature than people your age. And you want to, like, see what's going on in the world and, like, figure out what you like and what you're doing. So I like, you know, he's always been a sweet young man, too. So I've always just loved hanging out with him. And, you know, me and Steven were starting that band. And I was just kind of like, I don't know, I saw James playing this weird, noisy punk band when, like, Whiteslave had just started. And I was like, wait, I see you, you know, and he's this young guy. We should just, like, get him in the band and, like, see what we can get him into and, like, make him do some weird shit with his guitar. You know, and I think it took a little, the first few practices of just kind of, like, pushing him to just be like, nah, you can't, don't just, like, play some power, like, get weird. And then, you know, and then he did. You know, we got into some pretty fucking bizarre stuff with that band.
Oh, yeah. And then eventually you get the Meat Mist Whiteslave split.
Yep. At the time, too, the Whiteslave group practiced 2 houses down from me.
Yeah.
And so
kind of sister band situation.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and we would just hang out on the block all the time. And, yeah, they had a few bands practicing, like Attention Seeker, Brett Ray's old band and all that. So they'd be around all the time. Those were good times. Yeah, with that band, too, we'd go on month-long tours and stuff. And, like, that's not something I do anymore.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a long time since I've been on tour for a month, probably like 5 years or something.
Yeah, but you've done some kind of like 2-week, maybe 3-week runs.
Yeah, mostly
recently?
stuff like that, which is kind of much more manageable. Especially, you know, as your bandmates get older and they all have like jobs that they actually like, care about. So like taking a month off or like just like quitting whatever bullshit jobs, just go on tour for a while.
Yeah.
You know, once you start getting older and you're like, well, actually, like I need to be able to pay the bills and stuff, and like going on tour for a month means I'm just actually gonna spend a bunch of money.
Yeah.
You know. But you know, going on tour for a month too, you know, you about a week and a half in, you kind of start missing your bed a little bit every once in a while. And then after 2 weeks, you're like, man, I'm kind of tired. I don't know. And then once the 3rd week comes in, you're just like, I don't think I can go back now. You know. And I just remember like, you know, playing the whole month of tours over like the whole East Coast and stuff, coming back and then getting to Oklahoma City, playing there, and then just being like, are we sure we're going home tomorrow? Should we just like call somebody in like who knows where and try to book a show and just like keep going? Like, why would we? What am I gonna do when I get home?
DIY tour psychosis.
Kind of, you know, and then like after being on tour for a whole month and just like, you know, going show to show and hanging out with a bunch of weirdos every night, once you realize you're gonna have to like go home and like get in a routine and go back to work, the culture shock that exists there is like not really very fun to deal with.
Yeah.
But you know, if you do like the 2-week tours, it's much more easy. Yeah. So you don't be like, this is my life now. I'm just playing rock and roll every fucking night with all these weirdos and just having a great time, staying up until 4 a.m, waking up at noon, going to the next place. You know, it's like, okay, now you got to go home. When you wake up.
Speaking to younger Dan here.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I miss going through all that stuff and, like, kind of losing your mind a little bit on tour and then just, like, giving in and, like, sinking into just playing weird shows at weird places every single night. And, I mean, you meet some of the most interesting people possible doing stuff like that, you know? And, like, I've got friends all over the country from that. And loved it. You know, I don't really tour as much as I used to anymore. I don't have just like the energy to do that stuff so much anymore. And also it's like harder to get some of my friends together to do stuff like that now because everyone's also playing in a bunch of bands that are trying to do small tours and like work and take care of themselves more, you know, and like their wellness and like what they have going on in their life versus just like, no, I'm in this band is my life. It's just not really like that anymore. And it took me a while to just kind of be like, I guess me either. I'd be like, why aren't we going on tour all the time and doing all this stuff, you know?
You feel like you were like one of the last holdouts or something like that, or?
Nah, well, I guess kind of, but not necessarily. I think I just, during some of those times where, I was like trying to work with my different bandmates and being like, listen, we all talked about doing this, let's do it. And they'd be like, well, let's go for 2.5 weeks versus a month. And I would get frustrated, and then I would realize, oh, actually, that makes a lot more sense. There's not really a reason for us to go for a month. We should just do short trips and then do another one later. And then it's less stress on everybody financially and in your life, and it's a lot easier just to like take a 2-week break from like whatever you're working on versus like, oh, I'm gone for a month, and then when I come back, it's gonna be a big old mess when I get back.
Yeah. No, yeah, and the Meat Mist era is that kind of around when you started recording bands and everything, or had you been doing that previously?
I had done a little bit previously, like borrowing 4-tracks and stuff, and like just putting like a vocal mic like this that we have in front of us, like on anything, because that's what I had was just microphones I had acquired through doing all this stuff for years. I didn't have anything that was like recording mics at all. I think at some point I had borrowed a SM57 to get started, but yeah, I just got a 4-track from somebody, and I did it once for the band Demon Horse that I was doing before that. And that came out really cool. It was so fun just to like put up the mics and go on it, And then it was like time to record Meat Mist, and I was like, I bought a 4-track not that long ago. Let's get some nice tapes for it and just do it.
Nice. Oh yeah, and so would you say, and like when you started recording bands and like at this point in time, like was it kind of more out of like necessity or interest in like the craft, would you say? And like, has that kind of changed over time at all?
It was really both.
Yeah.
Because definitely there was just a necessity for like me to record my own band, and then, people would be like, hey, that tape is cool. Like, we need to record too. And, like a lot of like punk bands and like just like real rock and roll bands don't want to go into a studio and like record all the drum tracks and then go back and like record the guitar over it. They want to show up, play the song all together like they're used to doing, and have it sound cool. A lot of bands that are, I guess, more like raw sort of sound stuff. You go to the studio with your crazy raw band, and the studio sucks the rawness out of it really hard.
Yeah, I can imagine if you tried like bringing Dirty Work, No Master, or Beta Boys to a studio.
When some of them had like tried it too, and then they were just like, "Hey, we just did this and like, it sounds weird. That's like not what we wanted to sound like.
Yeah.
Like will you record us again?" Because some of them, like I recorded their bands when they just like needed to get like a demo tape out, and then they would go to a studio and do it, and then be like, oh, "I don't know, that was just uncomfortable. We didn't like how it sounded." I mean, and with like No Master in particular, they had gone to a studio and like whatever they had recorded there sounded like amazing to me. It was like this huge sound, super raw, like really like attacking you when you listen to it.
I would be really interested in hearing that recording. Is it anything that ever got released?
I think it did, but I'm not totally sure. That might have been so long ago now.
Because you did the Disconnected tape.
I believe so,
but the 7-inch wasn't studio stuff, was it?
I think that was it,
was
actually.
It?
I think it was the 7-inch that was.
I do like the 7-inch a lot.
Right, yeah. And like I had done a tape for them, and like, David had like 3 distortion pedals on his guitar and all this stuff, and I was like, it's going to sound like... And he was like, yeah, I know. So, like that on the 4-track tape, it just sounds real raw and psychotic, and they were like, I wish this, I like this way more than that record. I was like, man, the record has like big, nasty bass tones in it, whereas my little 4-track doesn't really translate
and the drums on that 7-inch just hit too, like...
That's kind of what I was confused about, but I was very excited for them to be like, this sounds great. Like, this is as raw as I want it. Like, I'm stoked on this.
Do you have favorite, like, recordings that you've done over the years? Any that stand out in particular?
It's hard for me to pick them apart piece by piece, which ones were which, but, like, I really liked recording, like, all those bands, like the Dirty Work, Beta Boys, No Master, and, like, that whole crew of people in any band that they had. Because they all had a great time doing it. They all show up, they play, classic. Every time someone does a take, they're like, oh, man, I totally fucked that one up. And then you just hit play, and they're like, huh, that sounds fine. And they were all pretty easy to please. And when it comes time to be done, they were all very excited about it. And it was all really easy to do. Just go to their practice space with my 4-track, set it up, have a good time doing it.
Nice. Oh yeah, and quick shout out to Prude. You just wiped up their
yeah, the
doing
new,
their
the new
demo?
stuff for them. Yeah, that was the first. Maybe that's the very first thing I did straight onto a computer.
Oh yeah.
Because they kind of like just maybe 4 or 5 days before they wanted to record. Because we had talked about it on and off, and I was just like, I would love to record your band. It'd be easy. You guys have a big sound. It's like a 4-piece and all that. I do that kind of thing all the time. And they didn't want to spend money or like wait for the tapes to come in. So I was like, I can just do it on the computer, and it's gonna sound pretty good. And went over there and recorded all their tracks in like an hour and a half or something. And it sounds meaner than hell.
Nice.
So I'm pretty excited about that. I pretty much left the 4-track business behind because now I've got this 8-track reel-to-reel machine that sounds way better.
Oh yeah, you brought that over one time when you were recording some salty
we tried to
stuff.
do the salty stuff for like 10 minutes before the show in the basement.
Yeah, but that machine is kind of like a beast though. Where'd you find that?
I was about to go to Nashville to get like this Tascam reel-to-reel machine that was going to cost me like $1,000 and a trip to Nashville and back because I've been kind of obsessed with it. It's actually the same machine that I recorded the DimeSack record with.
Okay.
My roommate has one. He finally let me borrow it.
Yeah, better than driving all the way to Nashville.
Yeah. Well, after recording that, I was like, I got to have one of these.
Yeah.
And then my friend Brad that plays in the band was like, hey, before you do all that, you should like check out this one I saw on Craigslist. And I was like, well, I don't know what that is. Like, I really want this Tascam machine because all my 4-tracks have been Tascam, and I've used that. Like, I recorded Beta Boys on that Tascam reel-to-reel one time because Trey's dad had one. And we were he brought out an Echoplex, like the real tape delay thing, to put a little bit of effects on the vocals. And it was sounding really cool, but before we could get it off of the tape to, like, make a mix out of it, the tape player just quit working. But we're all sitting there, like, listening to it, and it sounds so good. And actually, I should probably try to now that I have this machine, I should try to get that reel from him. Because it's still on tape. Like on like
wait, what session was that for? Like what band and everything?
I think it was the second time I had recorded Beta Boys.
Okay.
So I did like a 4-song demo for them like in the very early days. And they wanted to do some more. And then Trey was like, oh, my dad has this 8-track. You should come check it out. And I go into the basement of the worst house.
Yeah.
And underneath this tarp is the machine I've been dreaming about for like 2 weeks. And I was just like, we have to do this. This is destiny. Like, this machine is here. Let's do this. But I think it hadn't been maintained for a while. And then once we put it to use, it kind of wore itself out before we ever got the tape off of it.
Yeah. But, like, and those songs probably eventually ended up on, like, the first 7-inch or, like, the promo tape they did before that. Like,
I kind of get confused because I've recorded them a handful of different times. So I
Yeah.
don't remember what ended up being what. But
Yeah,
I would definitely say those songs all got released. Because I think after that machine had kind of, like, bit the dust, we were like, well, we still need to record those and get them done. So I was like, well, let's get the 4-track out, you know.
Yeah, that'd be fun to hear those, too. So if you ever dig those up.
I just need to remember to talk to Mel about that and get that tape from him. Because I think about it every once in a while, but then it kind of disappears from my mind.
Maybe someone will remind you after they listen. And
yeah, I'm just
wind
curious
up
about
doing
what
that.
those songs... Cause that's like the first time I had really recorded on a machine like that. And kind of haven't ever totally known what I'm doing with all this stuff. I've just like learned little tricks through recording these bands so many times. Just using cheap 57s, like really simple microphones. But, you know, gives you the raw rock, the punk sound as easy as possible.
Yep. No, yeah, and a lot of the stuff that you did, that you were recording, you were also releasing through XO Press, your
Yeah,
label
actually,
at
like
the time.
you asked me what was like the most fun recording I did. I would say the first KC compilation tape.
The Troost DIY.
Yeah, which we had a release party in this room.
Beautiful.
Years ago.
No, yeah, and I think the Dark Ages night of that 3-day little fest thing was like maybe the first house show I went to. And that was,
really?
That was here, so that was a lot
Yeah,
of
that
fun.
would have been a wild night. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Battle Royale played too, but I'm not sure if I saw them. I missed like 1 or 2 bands, but
I think so. Yeah, we made sure to like kind of mix. I mean, that tape's like all over the place of the different vibes of all of like what was going on back then.
Yeah.
So we tried to make sure we weren't just like, okay, here's the hardcore night, and like here's the like indie rock sort of screamo or something like show. We like tried to put like the big hardcore band with like the weirdo screamo band, and like I think we even had some of the singer songwriters playing some of those shows and stuff too.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I would I think I recorded about half of those 28 songs that were on that. I think it's 28.
Who worked on the other ones?
I think we did too. And I recorded some stuff for those other ones, but some bands already like had their own stuff recorded through different means.
Okay.
But yeah, just because like some of those people in those bands, like when I did the first ones, like I know you guys a little bit because we like hang out at shows, maybe knock a couple beers together, say what's up, or like I've played shows together. But you know, like going to their practice space with my 4-track and like hanging out with them to record a song. It was a really cool time, and that was like an express like learning experience to be like, okay, you need to record like 10 to 14 bands in the next couple weeks. Like, hope everything goes well. And, you know, I learned something every time about setting up different stuff. And
was that all kind of just like your initiative, wanting to like record like a dozen bands and get them on this tape? Like,
kind of. And I think that was also like another necessity thing is where, you know, me and Steven and James, while we were doing Meat Miss, we were like running that XO label together. We had come up with the idea to do this Kansas City compilation. And then we're like, well, all these shows happen in that house that's 3 blocks over there, the one we're sitting in now, and the other one that's 3 blocks over there. Like, let's just have all local shows instead of, you know, touring bands every night. You know, let's record them and, like, make this tape. It's funny to listen to some of those tapes now because they were dubbed really terribly. I think they're all, like, the digital files are all still on that XO Bandcamp, which I occasionally revisit and click on some stuff and just be like, woo! That was a long time ago. You know, I get a kick out of that. But my roommates had one of the tapes. I was like, oh, I haven't listened to this in forever. And I put it on and was just like, wow, that's a pretty poor dub of that one. But we were just using a friend's tape dubber, and I don't think we knew what we were doing back then either. But
you live and you learn.
Right. And now I just have National Audio put it all together for me.
Yeah.
So I don't like buy all the pieces and have to dub them, you know. I just send it off to them, and it comes to me, and every tape sounds as good as I want it to, you know?
That's great. That's good news. But yeah, and shortly after the end of the Meat Mist era, you end up in Burial Teens and later Phantom Head, which, like, I mean, I kind of just associate those bands together because it is, like, you and Carrie and...
with Burial Teens... That was mostly our friend Nate who wrote and like did all the vocals on all that and played guitar. I was just playing drums in that band.
Okay.
Which I haven't played drums in a band since then, really. I miss it quite a bit. Maybe one day I'll get back to it. But I really miss working with Carrie in general. We talk about it all the time. Mostly in like, you know, I get a little frustrated around here sometimes. Like, man, I'm thinking about moving to Minneapolis again. You know, it's just like a thought that comes in and out of my mind all the time. It's like, well, if we did... we'd start a band together. Like, that would be cool.
But you do end up there doing Phantom Head stuff pretty often, right?
We haven't played in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we've done anything in like a year now.
Okay.
We all still like hang out up there. I usually go up there to like DJ parties or like go see people on their birthday or like kind of just to go hang out. I try to hang out there a lot. I really like it up there. Especially summertime when it's nice and there's like a lot going on up there all the time.
Oh yeah, you have a stronger connection to Minneapolis than most, I'd say. So
yeah, I love it. I mean, even my friends that played last night were like, "So, are you still thinking about moving here?" And I'm like, I think about it all the time. That doesn't mean I'm gonna do it. You know, I'm pretty darn set up in Kansas City as far as everything goes.
Yeah.
But you know. It's easy to get tired of the town because it's small and stuff, but I just try to get out of town, have fun other places, and then remember why I love it when I come back home, you know?
No, yeah, and another project you have with non-Kansas Cityans last year and earlier this year you were doing Rota.
Yeah, at the time we were all living in Kansas City.
Oh, yeah, because Ashley, the singer, was living here for a minute.
I think she was here a year, maybe a little bit more. But, yeah, I kind of didn't have much going on because Phantom Head wasn't playing. And then Dylan, that was in that band, played in Tongues. And that band had kind of dissolved. And we were both like, I don't know, I'm just getting the itch, man. I want to make some freaky music again. And, like, I miss playing in a band. So we kind of, like, we're trying to figure out who we could start a band with. And then we got Max. I used to work with Max a bunch. I think I just saw him playing in Natural Man one night and was just like, you would fit great. Like, you're an easygoing guy. You can drum like a motherfucker. Like, and you already know Dylan, and we've hung out for years and stuff. Like, let's just start a band. And then it occurred, I was like, oh, and Ashley lives here now. I think we were like DJing a party together, and I kind of was like, hey, do you want to be in a band? And you asked me to silence my phone.
No, yeah, I'm the hypocrite there.
But yeah, that was really fun. It was we kind of started the band, and like once we had about 5 of the songs kind of like playable, Ashley kind of sat us down and was like, listen guys, I'm gonna move back to St. Louis soon. And we were all like, oh. She's like, in 8 months from now. So kind of like, okay, well, let's just make it a goal to like write all these songs, release them on a tape, and like try to play a bunch of Midwest shows and see what happens after that.
Had she been planning on like moving after a year, like initially? Or?
No, she pretty much just got like a really big hookup to go back. I mean, she's from St. Louis, and like, I think she wanted a break and came to Kansas City and caught a break here and was like figuring stuff out and like doing her thing, and then she got just like amazing opportunity to go back and like work at this spot for her rent, and like has her own storefront, which is kind of what she was doing here at Holy Cow, but now she has like a real storefront with her partner Mookie, who's from here.
Nice.
And they're kicking total ass out there. When I go out there and hang out with them, they seem like they're just like really doing well, super happy, and like working on what they want to.
Oh, that's tight. No, yeah, and there's going to be a Fault Finder full length coming out eventually.
Yeah, I think
soon.
so. James is working on that, and I get to hear little pieces of it, and it sounds awesome. So I'm not sure what's going on with the group because Dom moved, Mookie moved.
Yeah.
But I would assume they'd probably try to rock a couple shows once that stuff drops.
Always a very tight and underappreciated band, in my opinion.
Right,
but
yeah, big time.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear the recordings, too, like the rest of them. So, like, the spots I heard, I was like, whoa, this is like what that band sounds like in a big way, and, like, it sounds really good.
Oh, yeah, their recording had always been kind of, like, sporadic, and, like, it wasn't always...
I think I did a song for them once on one of those compilations, too, actually, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of tough to, like, you would get their tape or CD or whatever, but it was like something that came out like 3 years ago, so it wasn't even like and that band really did like kind of evolve a lot over time.
Oh, big time.
So
yeah, like member changes and just like vibe changes in general.
Yeah.
So I think they would get busy doing stuff with life, and then everyone's gonna be like, now we have all this time to like write a bunch of new stuff. So they would like write stuff, rock it for a while, and then come back and then write more new stuff, and kept changing all the time.
Yeah. Yes, hopefully we all get to hear that record soon.
Yeah.
Okay, and is the full Rota EP gonna be out sometime soon?
There are tapes. I got a bunch in my closet. I could have brought you one here today.
Oh yeah, I'll grab one from you soon. But yeah, there's only the 2 songs on the Bandcamp.
Oh really?
Now, yeah.
I think we just like got ready to go on tour, and after that happened, we all just kind of were like, okay, we did that. Let's see what's going on next. It'd be cool to try to get the group together again, just to like play some stuff in KC or like go to St. Louis. But I know everyone's just been like really busy with lots of other projects too, and like summer's just been nuts.
Yeah.
And Ashley, I think her and Mookie are still kind of like really getting into the St. Louis groove still out there.
Nice.
I would assume she'll be starting a bunch of bands out there too. She kind of talked about some leads on people being like, oh, if you're coming back, we should play in a band together.
Nice. No, and is she in that band also? Wait, I'm trying to remember. They played with Chasm a long time ago at Mills. No, yeah, that's definitely one band. But I think, is she in another band too, or is
she
it
was
just
in a band Self Help before that too, and was playing in Doomtown, kind of back farther.
Okay. Oh yeah, no, that's the band.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was a cool band.
Yeah, and I think she talked about starting another band with Ben, and we'll see what happens.
Nice. No, yeah, the Doomtown, like, I think it was just like a 7-inch single or whatever that was with like the white and red cover. Like, I always jam that a lot.
Yeah.
That was good stuff. But yeah, you also just released the debut LP for DimeSack.
It happened. It got out into the world yesterday, so my first record, and I guess a bunch afterwards yesterday. Felt good. That's been kind of like a project I've had in my mind for a long time. Like, I've played a bunch of some of those songs in like other rock and roll bands and never really got it recorded or released in like a way that I felt cool about. And like I have a bunch of really insane like 4-track demos of all those songs that I really like a lot. But I just kind of was like, I feel like I could like really, because all of the 4-track demos were me just like looping a drum thing and then just like kind of trying to make up the song as it goes. So they're all like really rough versions of even how to play it. But they sound psychotic and huge, and I think it's really cool. But I was just like, man, I want to just like record it all really well and like get it how I want it to with all these songs. And I talked about having Tony help me do that forever. And then we actually recorded a bunch of them once, then his computer got stolen while we were on tour. And I lost it. But then I was like, Danny, let me use the tape machine. Like, come over, play the drums on these songs, then like I'll take care of the rest. So I tracked it all myself after the drums, and then put it on the computer, did the vocals with him, and then he mixed most of it, and then I kind of just came over and was like, do a little bit like this and that, and he wrapped it all up in a very nice, massive sounding recording.
Nice. No, yeah, and you kind of, like, had you been, like, posting, maybe not the same songs, but, like, recordings under the name DimeSack, like, on SoundCloud, like, loose tracks?
Those are all, like, the random demos or just, like,
yeah,
songs that I would, like, shit out on the 4-track every once in a while. And, like, I like those recordings, but they're a little, like, thin and wild and mostly just, like, because I recorded them like that on purpose just to make this big psychotic recording, but, like, kind of mellowing it out and, like, making it more solid, like, kaboom when the record comes on was, like, the main goal. And I think we nailed it. When I first got that test press back to put on the record player, I just cranked it up, and once it sat in the groove, I was just like, boom, this sounds great.
Kaboom.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Oh, yeah. And there was also, like, an EXO release as DimeSack Band, and it was, like, a split with, like, another band.
Yeah,
Do you
I totally forgot about
like,
that.
Is that kind of, like, in the same, like, would you consider that kind of, like, the same, like, thought, you know?
It's
like,
the same stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like, all these songs are on the record, like, probably some from that tape and, like, a lot of the stuff from that SoundCloud. Those are all the same songs that are on that record. The split tape, that's with a friend of mine from France, Cedric. He does this no one-man band, which now he has a whole band for it, Les Crotales. I had driven his band on tour here, and we became good friends, and I, like, visited him in France, and I actually played a handful of shows with him over there, doing that stuff, and I made that split tape to go over there. But, yeah, those are just, like, me and the 4-track, and I think his are the same thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have a good experience in Europe?
Of course. You know.
You've done Europe, like, once or twice? Or?
I did a whole tour over there once, and then the last just, like, road trip I went out there with my girlfriend at the time, and we had a band together called Eunuch, too, and we played a bunch of the Eunuch songs over there and, like, did a couple DimeSack songs. So that's kind of, like, a little bit interchangeable, like the Eunuch stuff.
Was Mimas the first tour over there? Or
Mimas never went over there.
Oh.
I joined a band called Fag Cop at the time. I had recorded their record. That was actually the first band that wasn't my band that I had recorded, and just had a pretty rough mix on some cassette tape 4-track stuff that got blasted out. I'm pretty sure I sent them, like, MP3 mixes of it to be like, what do you think about this? And I think that's what got turned into WAV files and, like, made the record. I don't think it ever got mastered. It's a pretty crazy sounding record.
Is that the Whimpers record?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, kind of after I'd recorded that, the other guy that was, like, playing in the band just kind of wasn't able to, like, get stuff together to go to Europe. So they called me just to be like, hey, do you have any interest in going on this tour? I just said, of course. And they're like, well, you know, it's going to be a month long. Can you give me cool? And I was like, I will quit my job right now to go on tour in Europe. Like, why not? And we basically just went on a psychotic tour with a bunch of wild partying Frenchmen. And it's kind of too much for me at times. But, you know, I look back on that. I have, like, a million insane stories. Pretty much one every night of that tour of just, like, this is what happened that day. I don't know why, how, but I was there and I saw it and it happened.
Do you have one you can pull out right now?
Oh, I don't know.
No.
There was this, You know, everyone's doing speed every night. I got dosed with methadone by one of the guys at some point. That was fucking awful. It was kind of only like 4 days into the tour, so I was like, I'm not even gonna try. I'm not gonna bother like having any interest in any of these weird European drugs that are everywhere anymore, because that was awful.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. We were pretty much staying up until like 5 a.m. every night on that trip, and like just meeting so many weird, cool people. And about a year later, me and my girlfriend at the time went over there just to go travel and got to catch up with all those other people when they weren't like at some insane party. Just kind of hang out with them and like see where they live and see what's going on in their city and stuff. And that was a very rewarding thing to do. Was just like go back and then just like spend time with my friends that I had made and just like make real friendships, other than like, oh yeah, we were at that show that one time and you know, you like fed us and gave us beer and we stayed at your house and you were so nice to us. And then it was like, now we can just come back and hang out. You know, we don't have like one night to party together. We can just like wander around town together and hang out.
Oh, that's nice. And yeah, can you tell me at all, like, do you, like, because the album cover for the DimeSack record is like you dressed up in like a leather jacket and like this funny like mask with like a green like mohawk.
Yeah.
Like, is there anything in your head like behind that like character that?
I mean, the whole DimeSack thing really is like a alter ego sort of thing for me to have, just to like let some fucking shit out. You know, it's also just like my like party DJ name that I use, you know, and like, you know, I just found that freaking mask when I was up in Portland. I think it was Portland. I was in Salem, somewhere in Oregon. It was at a garage sale. It was like close to Halloween time, and I was like, well, I'm gonna be on this trip on Halloween. I'll just have this for like a weird Halloween costume if I need it. And I just never ended up using it, and then it just kind of became like part of the concept behind the whole thing, just to like have that like as like the alter ego guy, you know.
Oh yeah, I like it. And you have like the little boombox and the like the toy guitar too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I use the toy boombox thing just to like play mixtapes at shows and stuff instead of like bringing the records to DJ all the time. Like at the release show last night, I just used that boombox to crank some tapes, put a microphone like this in front of it, and blast it out the PA. Some of the mixtapes sound fine. Some of them just sound like because it's like coming out of a boombox cranked into a weird microphone out of the PA.
Yeah. Nice. And oh yeah, and is like this is kind of the first time in a minute you've also like sang and like written lyrics for a band too, isn't it? Like
other than Phantom Head.
No, yeah, but yeah, that band's been like kind of inactive. So like, is that something you kind of?
I can't remember what year that record came out with. But yeah, it's been a long time. It's kind of a whole different set of subjects. You know, it's mostly just like letting out some hate and anger and just kind of stuff like that versus like, I don't know, the Phantom Head stuff was more of like what the fuck's going on in this crazy world and like dealing with that and like just feeling like everything's going fucking nuts and like losing my mind and stuff. Versus just like being angry and shouting my head off. You know, the DimeSack stuff's more of like an outlet for shit like that for me to just like scream my head off about some shit that's just like driving me fucking crazy, you know?
Okay, and who it was the LP self-release, the new, or like who put
Black Skull.
LP? Black Skull.
Same, my friend Sam, he did the Phantom Head record too. And when I had like posted on the internet, he was like, hey, what's going on with that record? He's like, I really like this. You know, if you got someone else putting it out, like whatever, but I'd like to do the record. And, you know, I was kind of like, I sent it to some friends, and then I was like, you know what? I wanted to do this right now, and like Sam does too, and like he did a great job with the Phantom Head record, and like he lives in Kansas City, and we'll just hang out and do this record together, you know?
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the record came out last night, and
last night was the first time it had left my house. Yeah.
Awesome.
We put them all together about a week ago, and played the show last night and released it to the world.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I just got the whole thing streaming on the Bandcamp pretty recently too. I got plans to try to make a freaking music video pretty soon too. I got a couple of friends that are interested in working on that, and I kind of, you know, I think just doing stuff like that is more fun than like kind of what I was doing in some other bands, where it was more about like going on tour and like really like playing a bunch and trying to sell records and like doing this. Like I want to make this more of like a a creative endeavor where I'm just like doing a bunch of weird, goofy stuff with it, and I think that's kind of where like the whole alter ego thing can come into play, because I can just kind of explore that and do a bunch of creative things with that. You know.
Nice. Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to these endeavors and.
Me too.
Everything.
You know, I'm trying to like focus and get around to doing all the stuff I kind of have planned for it all, but it's kind of one step at a time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to cover today.
Cool.
Where can people like listen to the record, buy the record? Are you playing any shows coming up? Like, what are you?
We're playing on the 5th at Revolution Records again. I think the record just went online on the Big Cartel for Black Skull Records. I think Sam just put that up today. In the past, I've sold stuff myself, but I don't have any record mailers because I haven't had any money to buy stuff off of Discogs, so I don't have any mailers. But I'll figure that all out, and the whole thing is streaming on the DimeSack Bandcamp. And I'm working on trying to get it on YouTube, too, so it can just be more avenues to stream the whole thing from, too.
Nice.
Yeah.
And should people follow you anywhere, or do you have any other little plugs?
I have no followability, I guess.
Ooh, it's off the grid.
It's off. It's not on. Just in real life, anywhere you see the DimeSack, that's where I'll be.
If you're walking down the street, follow Dan.
Follow me around.
Stalk him.
Yeah, stalk maybe not.
Hello.
You know, give me a call. Just call me. You know.
Oh yeah. But yeah, people can follow at Shuttlecock Mag on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Visit shuttlecockmusic.com to read all the articles and everything. And shuttlecockmag.bigcartel.com for t-shirts, buttons, and photo zines. There's a few shows we have booked coming up. We got Control Test and Olathe at Come and Go.
I'm stoked for that one.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And yeah, Mentida and Ruined Orgasm
yeah,
are
I just saw
opening
that too. That's quite the lineup.
Yeah, it's a banger. And there's also going to be shows with Blood Loss from Denver and Temple of Angels from Austin coming up too, so look out for those.
Cool.
But yeah, I appreciate you being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me come on in.